Cyril Ramaphosa is in Tshwane this morning. He's visiting 3 flagship programs which have been put in place by his office to deal with youth unemployment. The Presidential Youth Employment Initiative and the Presidential Employment Stimulus. These are schemes that aim to place young people in sectors where they can get work experience and job opportunities. It's taken the form of education assistance in school, providing farmers with vouchers to buy agricultural supplies, and the funding of projects for artists. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo is at the Sefako Makgato Primary School in Salisville, which is the first stop for the president this morning. Ziyanda, good morning. Just talk to us about the action at your event, but more importantly, just the impact that's expected from these presidentially sponsored projects.
Well, the action is still yet to get underway. We're waiting for the arrival of President Cyril Ramaphosa. But today, at this particular program, where it's the education assistance, he'll be able to interact with them, get an understanding of how things have been going. They're here to do several things on the school premises, whether it's assisting with the workload of teachers or any other duties that have been assigned to them. And I think the key thing here, Iman, it's Youth Month. Our youth unemployment rate is at 62.4% for the ages of 15 to 24, or just over 46% for the ages of 15 to 34. And the key thing here is that while you have these initiatives that were in response initially to the COVID-19 pandemic, some of them are just not sustainable. So they form part of the category of job opportunities. And I'm going to bring in the Deputy Minister and the Presidency, Newzroom Afrika, to talk about that, because after your briefing last week, everyone has been asking, what's a job opportunity? Let's define that, because in this current environment where it's a ticking time bomb, young people are unable to get jobs, but the labor market is just simply not able to absorb them. A job opportunity, how far does it go?
Good morning, Ziyanda. So we actually refer to them as earning opportunities. And the reason that we call them earning opportunities is because we have different categories of young people in various programs. So you have young people who are in training institutions, who are going through skills programs. You have young people who, like the young people that we're going to have here today, who are in placement opportunities, where they are placed at a school to assist, and then they get a stipend at the end of the month. And then we've got young people, for example, who are in internships, others who are in learnerships. And then we also have a category, it's one of the programs that we're also going to be going to today. We have a category of young people where at the end of the training program, they're actually placed in a job. And the program only takes in young people with a guarantee of a job at the end of the training program. So that's why we call them earning opportunities, because we've got different categories of young people in different programs, but all of them are earning either a salary, a stipend, or different types of remuneration.
It's important to reflect on the emphasis that's been placed when these programs were conceptualized on public-private partnership, because the government can only do so much. Precisely. How much have you seen coming from the private sector? I mean, earlier on I spoke to the Basic Education Department's Elijah Mhlanga, and he's saying it's not at the rate at which they'd like to see. Do you agree with that sentiment?
So the program, especially the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention, works very closely with our implementing partners from the private sector. We've got different categories as well. So obviously this particular one, which is the Teachers Assistance Program, is a government one, obviously funded through the UIF. Other programs, you've got government partnering with the private sector to firstly absorb young people into training of facilities, and you'll see as the day unfolds the different facilities that we'll be going to, where young, and in actual fact, one of the very exciting ones that we'll be going to today is one where young people are actually in an incubation program with their small business and the small enterprises. So the point is that this particular one is a government one because it's teachers assistance through DBE and the Department of Employment and Labour. But the others, we've really seen the private sector coming on board, not just through being implementing partners, but also through job placements. But the most important part, of course, being the private sector partners that then place the young people, because those are the people that we speak to the most, the ones that when the 12-month period is done, they then get a job in a factory or at the workplace.
But the reality is that the labor market is constrained. There aren't simply not enough jobs. And just to indicate, just to give by way of example, I should say, I mean, Elijah Mhlango was telling us that 1.9 million people applied for 204,000 opportunities. Yeah. That is almost like triple, if not way more. Yeah. So what is it that you need to be showing the president here today that he'll be able to see in terms of what may still need to be done or how to build upon?
So one of the things that we'll also be doing very soon, we are actually going to be doing the strategy, the updated strategy for the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, because you would know that we've now had the 5 years of the program. We've learned lessons from the program. We've now, seen how we can upscale. So one of the programs, for example, is a pilot. It's currently, which is the Jobs Boost program. It's currently in its pilot phase. And part of what we'll be doing today is to basically be going through with the president to see where we can improve, but also most importantly where we can upscale. So for example, with the Jobs Boost program, the intake for this pilot was only 5,400, and that's a drop in the ocean given the numbers of youth unemployment. But the intention, of course, is to ensure that when we go to 2026, you actually are able to not only just double but triple those numbers, but ensure that you do have a successful program where young people at the end of that particular training program are placed in jobs. Of course, we're not at the scale at which we want to be, but the program in the last financial year alone has created 252,000 jobs for young people in the country. And of course, we're hoping that we'll upscale going into 2026.
All right, so Deputy Minister and the Presidency, Nonqobo Mhlaoli there, speaking about the program, not nearly where they want to be, but it's a start. But against the backdrop of the crisis of youth unemployment that is faced by this country, for a country that has 60% of young people, it is staggering, those statistics. And I'm sure we'll hear from the President once he's conducted his visit to at least 3 classrooms, what he thinks will be an effective solution across the board and have more of these programs across the country.
Ziyanda Ngcobo will be watching that closely. As you say, this is a huge issue, a jobs crisis, particularly amongst young people in the country. And these projects do need to begin to move the needle.